Hi, hello. Welcome, Moon Griffon Show. Great to have you with us. Friday, but it is Friday for me, although we will have a live program tomorrow. Mark Pope will be sitting in. I think Bernadette will be in for Brandon as we take a long Easter weekend off, and I want to wish everybody a happy Easter and try to attend a church, a Christian church of your choice, this weekend. It's going to be really, really big wherever you are. And my prayer is that you'll go and check out a church and let the Lord speak to you and get your family together and go. It'd be very, very important. Churches are open the doors and the houses for everybody, and they expect big numbers. So find you a really good Christian church to go to and be thankful because God has blessed you. All righty, 844-766-6607. Hickson has that hotline if you'd like to be part of the program. Your opportunity to be a voice. Boy, what weather. Especially in the northern part of the state. That storm came through and it stopped, Brandon. Where they were looking at 3 to 4 inches, they ended up getting 6, 8. I heard Union Parish and more. Some of those places way up in the northeast were maybe got 10 or 11 inches. I don't know if that's true. I know they have some flooding and things of that nature. I'm supposed to be up there and fish a tournament. I'm just curious to see what Lake Darbone's doing. What it's going to do from yesterday to Saturday, and will it rise a foot, 2 foot, 3 feet? Who knows? Just kind of curious. I know somebody up there listening. You can email me, moon@moongriffon.com. Let me know what's going on because that sounds like a tough bite. But hey, I'm all in. I'm all game. I'm ready to roll. So we're waiting to see what happens. But I know it took a lot of rain, and I'm not the weatherman or meteorologist, but they got this one right. They don't get many of them right, but I think they got this one right and what's taking place. All righty. I find it amazing. You know, yesterday we talked about the Alton Sterling case. And not so much I was not coming at it about the case so much. You know, I got an argument with one guy and some people. I really didn't want to get on the case. It kind of went that way. I was just making the point that I think it's a shame that one or two policemen, at least one of them, would be fired. And when the Justice Department, by the way, this all started under Barack Insane Obama, and then Jeff Landry entered and investigated for a year, and they found that these guys acted the way they should have acted. U.S. Justice Department announced last year would not pursue civil rights charges in the death of Alton Sterling. And then Landry, Attorney General's checked into this, and they just came up with the conclusion that they acted the way they ought to act. You know, if you're threatening people with a gun and you're doped up, you know, you're probably not going to win a lot of sympathy. So anyway, and my question was really not to get into the case. I really don't want to get into the case. My question was, why, if one or two of these policemen are not being charged with anything, actually they're being told that they did their job, why should they be fired? Now, I know what's going on. This white cop and the black person's dead. You know, Barack Obama then made sure they made a big deal of this. And then you got East Baton Rouge Parish Mayor-elect Sharon, well, she's not elect, she's Sharon Westenbroom, who, by the way, is about as liberal Looney Tune as you're going to find. She's out there. She's way out there. She's nutted up. Karen Carter Peterson, the head of the Democrat Party, called for getting rid of the Second Amendment. I mean, crazy stuff like that. You know, and she's a Looney Tune. So the Looney Tune mayor of Baton Rouge is joined, of course, of critics calling for the firing of this, at least the one officer that, you know, shot the guy. Yet, you know, there's no conviction. They're not even taking the guy to trial because there's no evidence that he acted outside of what the law says he can do. But Broom is just on it. Broom, without citing any specific violations, nothing he did wrong, said this officer should be terminated by running afoul of established police policy and procedures. She's been shocked and appalled. I'm shocked and appalled you won. Our city deserves 21st century professional policing, Broom said, urging him to consider the community and integrity of the department. She only called for the firing of one of them, not both of them. She reiterated a position Tuesday, telling reporters she trusted her new police chief, Murphy Paul, to complete the disciplinary process swiftly so the city will finally have closure. So we got a guy. This is what bothered me. It bothered me yesterday. It bothered me last night. It still bothers me. A police officer does his job only to be fired. A police officer has been investigated by the feds and by the state to find he's done nothing wrong, but he gets fired anyway because the nutted up, the little leftist Looney Tune broom, the mayor of Baton Rouge, who's a leftist, who's all into all this other crazy stuff we watch in this country fall down on, wants him out. And that's the only reason he's going to go, because they make this everything racial, when we don't have those racial problems. They've been created again because under Barack Obama, we created racial tension again. Not from the right or the whites, because of people like Barack Obama. It's just a shame that Mayor Looney Tune Broom is now calling for basically she's calling for him to be fired, and they're trying to just get back at him, and it's no reason to get back at him. He did nothing wrong. And if he did something wrong, I promise you, Obama's Justice Department would have buried him like they tried to bury Sean Wilson in the Michael Brown case, but they couldn't bury him because there was no evidence. But Michael Brown lost his job. Michael Brown moved on. Not Michael Brown, Darren Wilson. So it frustrates me. It frustrates me when I hear people. I read the story yesterday, another cop was shot in the face. And I thought, I keep hearing people talk about bad cops. Not saying there hadn't been a few, but the overall view of a policeman and law enforcement should not be negative by anybody. It's just crazy. I just don't understand how somebody can be fired for doing their job. They did nothing wrong. So we're going to get him on something else. It just, I don't know. I just frustrates me. By the way, we're going to do an open forum edition today, too. It's Thursday. I'll be gone on Friday. We'll be a live program tomorrow. Mark Polk will be in. Just hate to note if you do your job. And folks, let me tell you, because I talked to law enforcement. I talked to one again today. Who's going to be the policeman of the future? Because one of them told me that if you are a police officer and you shoot somebody legally, everything okay, you're basically going to get fired. Now, who wants a job like that you can't do your job? And if you do your job, you're going to get fired. Every shooting of people got to understand, every shooting by a police officer, whether somebody's killed or not, they're going to be investigated. You start making people go out there and not sure what they're doing in that line of work, that's not good. It's not good at all. (844-766-6607). Hickson has that hotline if you'd like to be part of the program. Zachary in Lafayette. How you doing, Zachary?
Good, and yourself, Moon?
Doing fine, sir.
Look, I got something quick to talk about. This guy, James, that called yesterday, and he had all the beef with law enforcement. That's the guy that I think we need out there wearing a police uniform, a little fanny pack with a bunch of rocks, no gun, no mace, no nothing. And tell him, say, you know what, you make a difference because you can't use lethal force, and go see how your job is going to work. It just blows my mind. I was yelling at the radio yesterday whenever he was talking.
Zachary, I think you make an awesome point. Awesome, man. You're right. Go stand in his shoes for a day go walk around with these guys that are threatened or get into a gunfight, and you go ahead and try to talk your way out of it. It doesn't work like that in the real world. It really doesn't.
Absolutely not. No, it doesn't. I got a bunch of friends and family that are in law enforcement. You just feel for these guys every day because they put their bulletproof vest on every day, and they out there, and knowing that they might not come home the next day. You know what I'm saying? And these guys that are just against law enforcement, those two guys in Baton Rouge, everybody knows they did not want to use lethal force with that guy. But when it comes down to it and your life is in jeopardy and in danger, you have no choice. I mean, I don't know. I just feel for these guys.
Yeah, you think about this, though. Think about this. You're married with 2 kids at home, and you're going to tell your husband, look, if I get in the bind, I'm not going to bring my gun. I'm going to just have to fight him and see if I can take him down. I mean, come on, man. It doesn't work that way. You're not living in the real world. And look, have there been bad cops before? Yes, we all know that. But that's not the norm. And I do agree with you on another point that you made. There's not a policeman that goes out there that when his shift is done, his or her shift is done, and they get off and they get home with their family, they don't thank God and say, thank God I'm back. I made it today. I know. And I guarantee you nobody goes, man, hey, honey, how was your day? Oh, I shot 4 people today. Man, it was great. I mean, have you ever heard anybody say, and if they are, they don't need to be a policeman. But I guarantee if you go home and somebody said, I had to kill 3 people today, that's the worst feeling in the world. I got to believe. But the problem is I was told that law enforcement, after somebody shot or killed, the law enforcement people are leaving or getting kicked out more and more for doing their job. Well, who's going to want to do the job? Crazy, man.
Yeah, unbelievable. The only other thing I can say is, for those 2 cops, they're probably going to lose their job. We set up a GoFundMe account for those 2 guys. They'd probably be taken care of because people like that is who we need in our lives. Anyway, that was my point on everything, Moon. I appreciate your show.
All right, brother.
Listen to you regularly.
All right, man. Well, thank you so much. I think you made some great points. Thank you so much. We've got to take a break. 844-766-6607. Hickson has that hotline. We'll be right back. Hello, welcome back. Moon Griffon Show, a little open forum edition. It is Thursday. I want to wish you a happy Easter. I won't be in tomorrow. I'll be back on Monday. Mark Pope fills in tomorrow live on Good Friday, and then back on Mondays. But if you want to be part of the program, it's kind of an open forum edition. You can talk about what you want to talk about. 844-766-6607. Hickson has that hotline if you'd like to be part of the program. It's your opportunity to be a voice. Let's go to the phone lines. Trent Lafayette, how you doing, Trent?
Moon, I'm fine, thank you. I want to preface what I'm going to say by saying that I'm a big supporter of the police as well as the military. However, we have criminals in the military, such as the My Lai massacre, where over 500 civilians, unarmed civilians, were murdered by American troops. We also have people in the police force who commit criminal acts. I cannot believe that you are staunchly digging in your heels and supporting the police who shot this man who was pinned down in cold blood. Well, they shot the man, and there was no other way to do it. I mean, his arms were pinned down. The guy shot him at point-blank range, not just one time, but multiple times. How do you defend that?
Okay, so let me ask this. Let me say this. Since you probably followed it closer than I did, I'm just honest up front about it. So we got the Justice Department. It was Obama's Justice Department, who came down here and could not find one shred of evidence that the policeman did anything wrong. Then you had the Attorney General, most powerful law enforcement person in the state, a year later, cannot find one thing, not one thing at all that they did wrong, but all of a sudden, you and me, we know everything about the case. Come on, Trent, let's be blunt about this one case. Now, you wanted to make a big deal about what some military people did and what some police do. In this particular case, you didn't investigate it, and I didn't investigate it. But the Justice Department investigated, and the Attorney General investigated, and they come up with not one reason to charge him for anything, yet you look at a video, you made up your mind in a video, and you don't have all the facts sitting in front of you. How do you make the decision you make? I know what I'm doing. I'm looking at what two separate entities with unlimited money to go investigate came up with? Zero. Zilch. Nada. Now, why do you want to say I'm taking up for somebody? I'm just looking at the facts of the case. You're looking at a video and making your own decision.
The legal technicalities and definitions of not guilty doesn't mean that the man is not guilty. I mean, people walk every day in the judicial system in our country because there's not sufficient evidence or there's not enough technical support. They walk and they're as guilty as sin.
Well, so you think we ought to change up that? Change it up? I mean,
no,
I'm telling you the information. Hold up. The
investigation
investigation was done by two separate entities, totally separate, okay? And the fact is they came up with the same results. And a guy's going to lose his job. You think he's guilty till he's proven not guilty? Well, I mean, tell me what you want to do in the country, because I'm only looking at the facts laid out by two separate entities.
The poor and the powerless and people like Mr. Sterling, he had an obligation to serve and protect. And you don't see that as over the top. I mean, two grown men have got another man down. The man's arms are pinned down underneath,
Can I ask
he's
this
struggling
question?
like any person would. And the guy shoots him multiple times, point blank. And they're going to defend this. Well, they investigated, sure, but I mean, just because they failed to find a good conclusion. I mean, he shot a defenseless man who was down.
Trent, you're going right to the video, right to one part of it. You're not looking at before. You're not looking at after. You're not looking at none of the facts. You're taking a video and you're looking at the video. It's like I tell people: if you walked in here and you were filming something, and I went over there and slapped the hell out of Brandon, and Brandon got mad. You saw it. You picked up your phone, and Brandon just punched the crap back out of me, and you had that on film. The only thing people would remember is what's on film. That's not a fair description of everything that went on. That's why you have an investigation. And you had an investigation. And I don't know what to tell you. They had an investigation on two separate entities, and they say these guys didn't do anything that was wrong in a particular case. Now, remember, you're not defending the guy when he had a gun threatening somebody before they got there, the drugs that were in it. We don't want to talk about that. We just want to talk about what you saw in the video. I don't think you're being fair. I'm just telling you what I see. Okay, what I've watched and what I read. All you're talking about is a video. And the video the video doesn't show 100% of everything that happened, Trent. That's all. That's all I'm saying. All right, we got to take a break. Rick and Lafayette, you're up next, 844-766-6607, Hickson has it hotline. Hi, y'all. Welcome back. Moon Griffon Show. Great to have you with us. 844-766-6607. Hickson has it hotline. If you'd like to be part of the program, your opportunity to be a voice. By the way, one other thing on this open forum edition before we go back to the calls. Basic fishing license are going to go up 42%. Basic hunting license will go up 33%. Okay? That's the vote they're getting ready to make. Wildlife and Fishery with budget cuts said they need the money. They claim they lost $65 million in state budget. Now, by the way, that was the money, and I'm going to say this is the money. You know, when the Governor Governor Jindal and Bell Edwards of the legislature, when them two were raiding, and John Alario and all these people were raiding all these funds. I don't know if they raided theirs or not. My gut feeling is it raided theirs too. So anyway, it hadn't been raised in 18 years, so they're going to raise hunting and fishing license. I just told you 133%, 140 up 42%. I know. So if somebody get mad, it's only going from $9 to $13.50. I know. I understand that. I'm just telling you the percentage is going up. So, and I'm all about fishing and hunting, you know that. And I want to make sure wildlife fishery has plenty to operate with. It's just a sign of the times, though. No departments have enough money to do anything in government anymore. By the way, there was a great article, and I'll get to that later in the program, too, how all these states are cash-strapped. And a guy predicted this back in the Bush days that Medicaid would start stealing money from the state coffers if we got too deep in it. Why are states so strapped for cash? The guy predicted Medicaid would be the problem, and here we are. We expanded the heck out of it. I'll get to that later. It's unbelievable. And that is not enough money for higher ed and infrastructure and safety and nothing else. But we're going to do the giveaways. Rick and Lafayette. How you doing, Rick?
Thank you, Moon. Right when I get all my energy focused on one topic, being your support of the police officers, you throw this in there and get me all riled up again. But I'm going to leave that alone and talk about what I called for, which is your support of the police officers, which I absolutely agree with. What irks me is how many phone calls you have gotten yesterday and today and about people's non-support of you and your support for police officers. And I want to specifically address that last caller and use his words so that people understand what his words were. First of all, he talked about two grown men talking about the police officers having this gentleman's arms pinned under him. He uses the word two grown men as if you're talking about two superheroes. You're talking about two men who are fighting another man and in trying to subdue him without cracking him over the head with a 2x4, which obviously nobody would agree with.
Mm-hmm.
So his words are two grown men, and the way he says them makes you think there's these super-powered supermen. No, we're regular men out there. I say they're regular men, and I am retired law enforcement, with another man, 200-plus pounds, trying to prevent him from using a gun that he has under him, which they say pinned under him. Pinned under him would mean that he can't move. Video, if you're just using that short little clip, shows that he could move and could struggle. Hands were not behind his back. Hands were not pinned under him. Hands were under him with a weapon under them.
Well, let me ask you a quick question.
And then the caller said, yes.
I know, I'm just, because you're in law enforcement ties, I mean, I just got a problem with believing that if I got just the video, it tells the whole story. And that was my problem with the gentleman. It doesn't tell the whole story. I gave the example. Well, no, I gave the example. If I go over there and slap Brandon's a big guy, and if somebody saw me slap him and then picks up a video and they said, I'm going to show this, Brandon's going to get Moon. They filmed that, and that gets out. Man, Brandon beat Moon with a chair. Nobody wants to talk about why Brandon beat Moon with a chair. You got to quote the rest of the story. There was a bigger story. Why were the police even called out? The guy wasn't out there giving away lollipops and snowballs, and the police got called out. That ain't what happened. You got the whole story. You got to look at the whole story.
I want to use his own scenario against him. Just using that small little clip, I want to use that against him in his words. Two grown men making that sound like it's superheroes, pinned under him. No, they were not pinned under him. They were under him. And then the last thing was just killed me. He says, and he said this 3 times, shot him at point-blank range. What would he have them do? Stand up, go back 50 paces so it's a 50-50 shot?
Yeah.
He's trying to stop somebody that is trying to kill people. People quit watching movies and think that one well-trained person can take a gun or a knife away from somebody and have them handcuffed in 30 seconds. That's not the way it works in real life. And if it was your family them police officers were protecting, you'd want them to do whatever they can do. But let me tell you something else about it. Them police officers are there to protect you, but first of all, they're there to protect their own lives.
Yeah, well, it's no doubt they got to protect their own lives. I mean, it's just no doubt about it. It's just, look.
It's just the society we live in. Everything is TV to them. That's where they get all their information is TV. Wake up and join the real world, see what it's really like.
Yeah, I'm just frustrated that, listen, you want to take a video and believe that's everything? It's not everything. The police were called out for a reason. Somebody had a gun. Somebody was doped up. Somebody threatened somebody. Well, I guarantee you, a policeman going out there is thinking, okay, the guy's got a gun. A law enforcement guy this morning told me, if we get called out, we're expecting a gun before we even know if they have a gun. But the guy, they knew he had a gun. So you think they should have went there with rocks or a piece of rope? They need to go up there and listen, the problem with the whole thing is this. This is the social media. Here's the video of what happened. No, the video's part of what happens. We got the Justice Department.
Well, you had a caller the other day said that he had the right to carry. First of all, he did not have the right to carry. He was not licensed to carry, and I believe he had a current felony on his record.
He did.
So he did not have the right to carry. And then that caller, I think it was yesterday before, also said, well, he's got every legal right to protect himself with his handgun if he feels threatened. No, he did not. He was given official orders, law-abiding or lawful orders by a police officer, he did not have the right to resist. It's all there, written in black and white. You can look it up. But thanks for letting me vent, Moon. I'll think about this fishing license going up, because I've always said I don't mind going up on things that we don't need. We don't need to fish, but well, I sure love it, and I hate the 42%.
Well, I'm just giving you the percent. The amount of money may not be much, but see, that's the problem we got with government in general. It's only $4 or $5 or $6 or $8, but you add that on top of the thousands we already got to pay out. It still adds up.
Well, Moon, they also conveniently, you said a basic fishing license. Most people here in half of Louisiana go freshwater and saltwater, which means you got to get your basic and your saltwater. They conveniently didn't throw in how much the saltwater license is going up, because I'm sure they want to keep the percentage sounding as small as they could. We'll see how much that saltwater license is going up here soon.
Yeah, I think, and I'm gonna be one that buys a double one. I mean, I buy salt and fresh water because of where I live.
Yeah.
All right, brother. Thanks. Appreciate the call. Thank you so much. Let's take one more for the break. Let's go to the brilliant one, Joy from Abbeville. How you doing, Joy?
Hey, good morning, Moon. How are you?
Doing great.
That guy that they were going to see about at that place, I would like to ask those officers, was that the first time you ever had a contact with that guy? And I'll be willing to bet they knew when they drove up who that guy was. And if I remember correctly, a year earlier, the same thing happened. He had pulled a gun on some law enforcement officers. I mean, this fine, upstanding young man who was a pillar of society there in Baton Rouge, you know, I see yet to find any kind of monument that was erected to him, you know.
Yeah.
But these police officers, when they drove up and saw who it was, probably had already had run-ins with him in the past, and that guy had a rap sheet a mile long. You know, they knew what they were fixing to hit when they hit that guy there. They knew who he was. And I'll be willing to bet half the police force in Baton Rouge had run-ins with this guy in the past, and they knew what they were fixing to get into. So
Joey, when they said somebody had a gun threatening people, you don't think they had an idea what they're gonna get into?
You're right. They knew what they were fixing to get into, that they were coming into a place where they may not go home alive. And I'm sure, you know, adrenaline and all the other things, I guess they should have called the SWAT team in instead of going, you know?
Yeah, maybe we ought to hire some former pro football defensive linemen and linebackers to just tackle people, maybe before they get shot.
You're right. They should have just ran up to him and headbutted him. Boom, knock him down right there instead of trying to be nice up front. But, you know, the other thing, too, Moon,
if you went out there and tackled him first and and he gets a concussion, woo-hoo-hoo-hoo, man, you have everybody on him if you get a concussion on a hard tackle. Hell, ask him in pro football.
He was a convicted felon, and they found a gun in his pocket. It's against the law what he was carrying. And Moon, the other thing I wanted to call about, I've been going through the bills that have been filed in this session.
Yeah.
A lot of them I'm reading, they're upping the per diem for all of these different panels that meet in state and local governments, and they're changing the ages that certain folks can retire from all these departments in the state. 50, 55 years old after so many years of service, plus you get free health insurance. A lot of these bills are just giving, you know, these benefits to all our state employees, where the regular class folks who have to work for a living, we got to work till 65 before we get anything. It's something wrong with what's going on in Baton Rouge. They're giving themselves freebies left and right, and the working class folks.
One of the things that they're passing, and the sheriffs may not like this, but I'm going to mention the sheriff's pay raise is up to 9%. They're
giving themselves money left and right.
Sheriffs do a great job. I have no cut on sheriffs, but they make way more money than the average person. But they're going to get I think it's a 9% pay raise. And by the way, and look, that's fine. But the average person out there is losing their job, or not. Their income is not growing in the state of Louisiana, or they had to take another job that they overqualified for, or they're moving out. But we're giving pay raises. We don't have a money problem in state and local governments if we're giving pay raises. I'm just saying.
They retiring at 50 and 55, Moon. Who does that? I can't retire at 50 or 55 and afford it.
Yeah. All right, man. Got to go, Joey. Thank you, man. Appreciate the call. Oh, and there's a lot of stuff. By the way, Blake Miguez got a piece. I'm going to play that for you, too. Representative Miguez. There are so many gun bills and take away the Second Amendment. You heard what Karen Carter Peterson said, another brainiac with the Democrat Party. She's the head of the Democratic Party. We need to get rid of the Second Amendment. That's a brainiac. Head of the Democrat Party. And all these bills are coming from the Democrats. Y'all think that's a winning deal? Get rid of guns? Anyway, we'll get to that, and we'll let you know in just a minute. I love my audience, I promise y'all. All 115 of y'all. 844-766-6607. Hickson has it hotline if you'd like to be part of the program. Your opportunity to be a voice. And, wow. Interesting. I am getting a lot of people that email me said, I'd love for somebody to be a policeman and have to make those quick decisions. And that's how I feel about law enforcement. There's something I'm not going to do, something I don't want to do. Somebody wants to do it. I say, Brandon, this is going to hurt your feelings. On the 12th of April, Chef Jude just sent this to me. I want to say this on the air. Everybody's not invited. Hey, my brother, we're having our annual company crawfish ball. And they're having it, Brandon, on the 12th. Mm-hmm. And they wanted to invite you and a guy named Brandon Como if you guys are available. Do I put I'm in only, or are you coming?
Oh, man. I'm going to have to carve that into my schedule.
I put we in. We in.
Thank you, Chef
Brandon,
Jude.
Remember that. April 12th, the annual crawfish ball. It's
on a Thursday.
Yeah, how bad is that going to be?
Ooh, man, that sounds amazing, Moon.
By the way, you just sent this to me about the...
No.
You didn't... Somebody sent this to me and said, Blue Moon Brewer to launch marijuana
That's Rob.
infused beer in Colorado. That's Rob, okay.
Yeah, Rob.
Well, I didn't see the top of it. In the fall.
Or as you used to call it, Mr. Kilpatrick.
Yeah, Killer Kirk, it don't matter. Marijuana infused beer, Blue Moon. Wow. Supposed to only go to Colorado. Brandon, what happens when they accidentally send a case to Louisiana?
It'll make somebody's day a little bit extra special, I guess. I don't know.
Golly. That's what I love about people that want to legalize dope. They'll put that stuff in everything and anything, and that's what happens to all this. Well, it's only going to be for medical. It's only going to be for this, Brandon. It's only this amount. Golly. We're going to put marijuana in beer and brownies now, folks. Ain't that cool?
Well, they already put marijuana in brownies.
If I've eaten one that got me high, I don't remember. There are some that taste better than others. How's that? There are some that taste better than others. Anyway, that's what's happening. Okay. 844-766-6607. Hickson has that hotline if you'd like to be part of the program. By the way, a lot of comments on I wish everybody had to be a policeman just for about a month. Let them get involved in something like that, how quick you'd have to go that. All right, before I get to Blake, there's a lot of anti-gun bills in the state legislature. Every one of them brought on by John Bel Edwards' party, the Democrat Party. You got to remember what party he's in. Louisiana will pay $85,000 to former employee of the governor's office, an attorney who alleged Bel Edwards' former deputy chief of staff, Johnny Anderson, sexually harassed her when the two were working with Edwards. So the state had to pay. Johnny Anderson didn't have to pay nothing. Why didn't Johnny Anderson have to pay this? Why did the state of Louisiana have to pay $85,000? By the way, in our state, this is how it works. The agreement calls for the victim to get $51,000. Her lawyer got $34,000. Jill Kraft, and Jill wasn't sexually abused. Jill got $34,000 of the $85,000. That's a pretty good racket. You know what I'm saying? That's amazing. But this is in Bell Edwards' office, and the state had to fork out $85,000. The lawyer got $31,000. By the way, the money does not include money the state paid to a private attorney as well, Baton Rouge lawyer Vicky Crochet, to work on the case. So it was probably over $100,000 for somebody in Bell Edwards' office that sexually harassed the woman. And why did the state of Louisiana have to pay that? I'm just curious. If you got somebody, and apparently they agreed this happened because they paid the money out, why didn't that person have to pay it out? Why did you and me had to pay for sexual harassment? By the way, we paid in the millions in the federal government and Congress. Why do we have to pay that? I'm just kind of curious. I didn't agree to pay to that. Did y'all? I'm not saying the lady shouldn't have got the money. I'm saying, why did the state of Louisiana have to pay for somebody? I think the governor's fired the guy, which was the right move. But why do we have to pay it? I'm just kind of curious. 844-766-6607. Hickson has a hotline if you'd like to be part of the program. By the way, Brian, that little problem was fixed. So we're taken care of. All right. Let's move on to one more thing. I'll take your calls. Loretta and Karen Crow, Jimmy and Louise, somewhere in Louisiana. Hold up. I want to play one thing. There's so many bills that the Democrats are shoving down our throat for gun control. As you know, Karen Carter Peterson, the nut of the head of the Democrat Party, John Bell Edwards' right hand of the Democrat Party, she wants total repealing of the Second Amendment. That's the party Bell Edwards is in. That's the Democrat Party in this state. You keep flirting around with these Democrats for these higher offices and see what happens. So Karen Carter Peterson wants guns gone, Second Amendment gone. Okay. Let me let Representative Blake Miguez explain it, then we'll take your calls.
Hello, my name is Representative Blake Miguez from District 49. There's been a lot of talk recently on social media as well as the mainstream media about guns and gun rights. I'm here to talk to you about a dozen bills that have been filed by Democrats this session that infringe upon your Second Amendment rights. That's the right to defend yourself and your family. And I'm going to tell you what we're going to do to stop that. And we're also going to talk a little bit about myths and facts related to gun rights and the Second Amendment. Democrats in the Louisiana legislature have filed about a dozen gun bills. Not one of those prevents a criminal from using a gun. Not one. It's plain and simple. Criminals just don't follow the law. One bill prohibits the sale of commonly used semi-automatic rifles to anyone under the age of 21. Another bill changes the age from 18 to 21 to buy any gun. One bill requires government to track every round of ammunition that you purchase or use. Another bill makes it illegal to possess or own a semi-automatic rifle. That means you either have to surrender it, register it, or pay an annual fee to have that firearm. Like I said, none of these bills do anything to stop a criminal from using a gun in a violent crime. All they do is stop law-abiding citizens like yourself from the ability to defend yourself and your family. These are constitutionally protected rights we're talking about here. But I can promise you one thing. Republicans in the House will do everything they can to stop these bills from ever becoming law.
Yeah, that is. And Democrats, once again, the Democrats all over the country, they're no different here. Bell Edwards is no different Democrat. He's not a different Democrat. He's a pro-life Democrat. It means nothing to the Democrat Party. Democrat Party is, they want to take away guns. They want you to pay more in taxes. They want everybody to have that same health care plan. Everybody have the same everything, just a bunch of socialists. And they have no clue anymore. Republicans just don't have people of guts. There's just too many yellow ones in that party. But in the other party, you just don't have. There's no social conservatives. Edwards is not a different kind of Democrat. He believes in everything they believe. He acts like he can do it, but I'm telling y'all, you're gonna see it in the next election. His party is for getting rid of guns. It's the party he associates himself with. Okay? He's associated with the Democrat Party who believes in taking away guns. Let's go to Loretta and Karen Crow. Miss Loretta, how you doing?
I'm fine. Hi, Moon. I was calling about something that I recently discovered that I haven't heard anything talked about anywhere. I live in Karen Crow. We moved here 2 years ago, and sometimes I shop at the Walmart on Ambassador, and sometimes I shop at the Walmart in Karen Crow. And the other day I shopped in Karen Crow, and I bought groceries, and then on a separate payment I bought a vacuum cleaner. And when I got the total on the vacuum, I thought, boy, that's awfully high. So when I checked my receipt, I noticed I was paying 11%. So when I told my husband when I came home, he said, well, look at your receipts. And I checked on my grocery receipt. Tax 1 is 11%, tax 2 is 5%. Mm-hmm. On my receipts from Ambassador, tax 1 is 9%, and tax 2 is 2%.
Okay, let me just say this. Karen Crow, even though, I think Karen Crow's in Lafayette Parish, okay, yes. You could have another tax in the town of Karen Crow that people in Lafayette don't pay, and vice versa. Because what you have is you got local taxes, you got state taxes, and those can be different from every town you go to. They can be totally different.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying? So when you buy in Lafayette, I know Karen Crow and Lafayette seems to be the same community. And what I mean by that is we all live together. We just, I'm in a place not too far from you. And so what happens is if you're in the city of Lafayette, it's probably, there may be a little bit difference in sales taxes. It may be a 0.5% point. It may be a whole penny. So that's probably why you're seeing the discrepancy there. If you went from Karen Crow to, say, Sunset may be a different tax structure, sales tax-wise, than Karen Crow. Mm-hmm. I mean, you could drive around and check and see if what I'm telling you is true, or go to Breaux Bridge, or go to somewhere that's close, go to Scott, whatever, and you may find real quick that, they just different sales taxes in different areas. So that's probably why you're seeing that. I know you're thinking like me, one Walmart to another, they ought to be the same tax, but that's just not how it works. Because you do have the local taxing bodies.
I'm sorry, but I was just, I kept hearing on the news about the temporary sales tax going back down, and we used to pay 10%.
You got real quick, the 1 cent on the state added 2.5 years ago will come, if they don't change anything, will come off the books July 1st. Now, I don't know what's going to happen yet. The legislature's going to have a special session. I'm hearing they're going to put a 1/4 cent, maybe a 0.5 cent, but that 1 cent's going to come down. You're going to see that probably come down. They're not going to renew the whole penny. But that won't happen. You won't see that until July 1st. Okay, so that's what's going on with that. And look, it's very confusing if you're not watching it every day. I understand that, but that's probably what you're seeing. You go from one community to the next. Even though it's a Walmart, they got a tax different in the city of Lafayette than they do in the town of Karen Crow. So, because Karen Crow can locally put new taxes on that Lafayette can't, and vice versa.
Well, we moved from Slidell, and we were paying a larger sales tax than originally in Lafayette. Well, one of the reasons moving here was to lower our expenses, and actually I'm finding that that's not happening.
No, to go check out all the taxes that are out there in each community, that's a chore in itself. It can be done, but it's still kind of tough. Anyway, God bless. Thank you, man. We got to take a break. Open forum Thursday. Hope you have a happy Easter, folks. We'll be right back. Come back, Moon Griffon Show. Great to have you with us. Hey, folks, don't forget to check out my man, Captain Norman, if you want to go fishing and catch speckled trout and redfish. We had a little rain come through here, but it was just getting right. So if you want to book in April or May, Captain Norman's your guy. You need to give him a call. Just go to aspectcharters.com, aspectcharters.com, and you can check out Captain Norman, and he'll get you taken care of. And you get into, if you never caught speckled trout or redfish, he's the guy. He's going to teach you, bring you in, and y'all going to have such a wonderful time, and catching fish is just going to be icing on the cake. He really knows what he's doing. So if you want a trip of a lifetime and a lot of fun, or you want to bring somebody that's never caught them, maybe somebody that's really a good fisherman but never really caught speckled trout and redfish, here's the number, 337-884-0656. This is his cell number, 337-884-0656. 0656. Captain Norman to get you taken care of. By the way, the Pope headlines at Drudge. There is no hell. I'll tell you what. I'm not Catholic, but if I was Catholic, I'd have a problem with this Pope. This guy's a social. I mean, he's totally blowing the Word of God up and the Bible up. He says there's no hell. There's the disappearance of sinful souls. So either you go to heaven or you just disappear. Well, that don't seem to hurt, Brandon. If you don't want to live for God, just don't live for God, and you vanish. That's what he's telling people. This is the headlines. Pope Francis, there's no hell. I mean, it's this. Wow. What else is he going to say next? Maybe we shouldn't have no pope. Let's go to. By the way, Trump comes up about the census question on illegals. Brian, you know what we used to do before Obama came along? And maybe even before Obama came along. We used to do the census. You do a census. And then you would separate the citizens from the non-citizens. And that's how you account it. Okay, let me give you an example. Take California. We know they got a lot of illegals there. They're being counted as citizens, and then when they declare, like, for how many congressmen you're going to have, it's based on numbers. Mm-hmm. How much money you going to get from federal government based on numbers. So don't tell me these numbers aren't exaggerated. Used to be we counted everybody, but we separated the citizens from the non-citizens, and then you based all that stuff on the citizens. Okay. Well, years ago, I remember when Mary Landry was office, they took that away. So all Trump wants to do is find out who is citizens or not. They're not going to answer it, honestly. But we really ought to not count citizens. And let me tell you what would happen, Brandon. Places like California would dry up. Mm-hmm. Because they counting all those people to get as much federal money as they can. And then they rip it out and give out all these programs.
Well, you know, in 2015,
go ahead.
Well, in 2015, because we actually talked about this yesterday on Offsides from 4 to 6 on KPEL. And yesterday we talked about in 2015 that there was a Republican-led effort to the Supreme Court that would basically factor in the districts, the congressional districts, by taking it a step further, what you talked about, voting age people over the age of 18. And so what was interesting about that was they brought that to the Supreme Court, and it was rejected in 2015 because, hey, you think about it, congressional districts, you think of voting, and you think of, hey, let's go ahead and count the people that are able to vote. And that was rejected in 2015, but that was a liberal Supreme Court. Mm-hmm. I wonder if in a couple years you get another one or two more Supreme Court justices. If they bring that back up, that might indeed happen.
Yep.
That might indeed pass.
No doubt. Well, I just think that, they used to separate them, and it matters with benefits. And let me tell you something. You let California say, no, look, we're going to count everybody, but when it comes to putting representatives, I'm telling you, states like California, a lot of people leave, and a lot of illegals came in. And I'm telling you, it would change the dynamics of everything. We shouldn't count illegals who shouldn't be voting, who shouldn't be getting benefits. Shouldn't be getting any. Zero, zilch. Let's see how much money's left over for the people that need help. I'm just telling you, it's Trump's question is a great question. They're not going to answer that question. And go find out the ones that are nutting up. Blue states. Blue states are nutting up. It's all about the voting power for them. Let's see. John in Opelousas. How you doing, John?
Good morning, Mr. Moon. How y'all doing this morning?
Doing fine, sir.
Oh, yes, sir. You know, with Mr. Sterling situation, the system failed us, the DA. Mr. Sterling was a convicted felon with a rap sheet that's longer than a train, and he had a gun. What he was doing on the street?
Great.
That's the first question.
Well, I mean, if
he's a convicted felon and he was in possession of a firearm, that's 5 years, automatic. Yeah, he wasn't supposed to have a gun.
I wonder why nobody ever found out. I'm just asking. I wonder why nobody ever found out who gave him the gun or how did he get the gun.
They're not worried about that. They're worried about cashing in. They're not worried. Look, I got children, and I tell you, if my child do something, you know what I'm gonna tell you? Oh yeah, he was bad. I tried to talk to him. He didn't want to listen. But you know what? A hard head make a So let him go get his issue. Whatever his issue is, he needs to get it because I told him. Yeah. But they don't do that. Yeah, now, the gentleman that was talking about a police officer and the military, two different situations. I was in both of them. Number one, when you're in the military, most of the time when you're in conflict, you're looking at the people on the other side as enemies. When the police officer goes to any car, it could be a man riding a bicycle without a headlight. Guess what? You don't know what you're going to meet.
Well,
you don't know what kind of tiger that is.
Here's the other thing. Police departments can't look at a citizen as the enemy, but when they go in a situation, they don't know if there's a gun involved, then they got a concern. I got to believe every policeman, anybody in law enforcement that stops a vehicle on the road, I don't care what kind of vehicle they driving, I don't care any of that. I guarantee you, in the back of their mind, they got to be going, okay, here's how I'm handling this. And he's going to base everything. If somebody gets out the car, somebody say, hey, can you get out the car? Yes, sir. Some people don't want him to get out the car. Hey, can you get it? Yes, sir. Because I got out the car one time. I was speeding in the school zone. I know y'all shocked about that. But I got out, and the first thing I did when I got out, he saw me. I was approaching him. I put my hand in my pocket. I was reaching for my driver's license. He stops it. Get your hand out of your pocket. I said, yes, sir. And I eased it out. And I did like that, open hands, and he said, okay. I said, well, officer, I'm just reaching for my driver's license. He said, that's fine. He said, but I wish you'd have waited till I asked for it. I said, yes, sir, I understand. And it was a respectful thing, and I took it back out and gave him my driver's license, and I gave him my proof of insurance, and I took my ticket like a man. My $273 fine for driving too fast. But point being is, I just did what the guy asked me to do. Why? Because he asked me. He's law enforcement. He's law enforcement, okay? We're supposed to respect that. They're just taking this thing way too far. Anyway, God bless, folks. I hope you have a happy Easter. Remember, go to a church of your choice. I'm not going to say anything bad about the Pope. But, man, that guy, I'm telling you, we need a new Pope. How about that for an Easter sermon? God bless. See you Monday.